Can hear me? Okay, great. Fantastic. All right, so I'm not seeing myself on the YouTube side. That's okay, I suppose. Hold on, let me just adjust this really quick so that I can sort of see both you guys and me. Not because I'm a narcissist, but you want to be able to see how the video is going. Yes, Adam, it is straight from Future Bob's wardrobe. You guys will notice that I occasionally, for live streams, borrow Future Bob's hats, which takes traveling into the future to do so. So anyway, great to see you all on here. Okay, so here's what we have for on the agenda today. I've got a bunch of questions that... Oh, shoot. Hang on. I've got a bunch of questions on my clipboard here that came in from YouTube and from Patreon that I'm going to go through. And I'm going to try to address as many questions as I possibly can on that that are live that you guys are asking. Glad you guys can hear me. That's great. Kasami, is that how you pronounce it? Kasami? So you're right now doing a first handling session while you're watching this? That's fantastic. Congratulations. I love that. Okay, so let's do what I promised. So you guys, I had on my Instagram and my Patreon, I posted what I thought were fantastic photos of bottles of Scotch with snakes. And I had people vote on 3 snake Scotch pairings. And number 3 won out. And and here's what happened. I was thinking that I was like, I think I want to drink Ardbeg tonight, which is a lovely Scotch. They all are fantastic. But I kind of wanted to go with the Ardbeg. So I put Echo on the Ardbeg because everybody likes Echo, my little super dwarf. And I thought that, okay, so they'll vote for the Ardbeg. But then on my last one, I had this bottle of Lafroig, which is my go-to. This is my favorite, really go-to Scotch. I put little Tiger Lily on the Lafroig, and as soon as I saw that shot, I was like, oh, that's gonna win. Like, you can't. I mean, she is. Maybe it's because I produced her that I think that she's so stunning, but she is just ridiculous. I think for a snake that doesn't have any recessive genes. She's just so crazy looking. Anyway, so that's what we got. Lafroig and Tiger Lily. And I'm going to silence my banjo with this thing because you guys probably can't hear it, but I can. It picks up the sound in the room and rings back into my head. So, Tiger Lily won out. Hi, you sweet girl. Look at you. She is, you're so curious. So somebody was asking about this. Call sign Mohas, you're not late. I'm just getting started. There were technical difficulties at the beginning, as there always are. And so somebody was asking about what Tiger Lily was just doing, going up towards my face. There was a couple people, and I'll get to it, but there's a couple people asking about like nervous snakes and being nervous around nervous snakes. So we're going to talk about that. Thanks, you guys. So I'm going to hold her and just start going through questions right now because I know there's going to be stuff that comes up on the stream that I'm going to want to answer. So let's start with the Patreon questions. Anastasia, I don't think that's pronounced Anastasia. I think it's Anastasia. Could you go over how you deep clean the bioactive enclosure? Was wondering how to best disinfect corkwood decorations since they're so porous. I know some people put them in the oven for a couple hours. Is that what you do? Yeah. So that's 2 separate things. Disinfecting the bioactive. That's a tough thing because I do use F10 or chlorhexidine on the sides. Like I don't spray it all in the bioactive, but at the bottom of the inspector's hide where he sits on the glass, I disinfect that with F10. And I'll spray it like in his cold side hide, which is just dirt. He uses that as his bathroom. So when I spot clean, I'll just spray the top of the dirt with chlorhexidine or F10. And that works. But I'm trying not, I don't spray it on the plants and all over. I try to keep it away from the little cleanup crew, the isopods and such, if I can. So that, okay, and then cork. When you're initially going to put cork into an enclosure, whether it's bioactive or not, cork or any kind of wood, especially if you find it outside, I bake it. Some people freeze it for a while. I bake it first because that'll kill all the little bad things that are in it. And then after that, in fact, I just did it today. When I clean out enclosures, which I did full cleans on all my enclosures this morning, it took me forever. I just douse them in F10 and let them dry. So I just get F10 all in the cracks and everywhere and just let it dry. I clean off, I spot clean, if there's urate on it or something, I clean that off. But other than that, it's just dousing it in F10. So there's that. Let's see, hang on. Come on. Stuff is falling. That's kind of been a theme lately, stuff falling in my videos. Okay. I don't know why the playback has errored. You guys can still see me though, right? Hang on. I want to make sure we're good because I just talked for a while and it says I'm still live, so I think you guys can still. Somebody comment and tell me if you can see me. All right, Jessica. All right, so Jessica says, let's see, topics number 1. Hang on, I want to make sure. Oh, okay. Okay, you guys are still on. I'm going to answer Anna right now. Do you think ball python can actually enjoy the company of its owner? Snakes are not social creatures, so they don't really have that in them to like bond with another snake or another person or whatever. I think it's great to think that they can, though. I mean, I have snakes that certain ones that will hang out with me and sit on my lap, and it seems like they're enjoying it. It seems like they're enjoying hanging out with me, and I like to think that. But if I'm thinking about it logically and scientifically, it's just that they don't mind me, and I'm a warm tree, basically. If you want to get into the science of it, but there's nothing wrong with thinking that your snake enjoys you, as long as you know the signs of stress and things like that in a snake. I think a lot of people think, oh, my snake loves me, and then they do all kinds of stuff with the snake that totally stresses them out because they don't understand actual body language. But if the snake is cool, like this one, I don't mind thinking that she likes hanging out with me. Okay, so let's get to Jessica's questions. Okay, she has several that were good ideas to talk about. I know when I first got into keeping ball pythons, I stressed so much over parameters, especially when they fluctuated. Newcomers might benefit from understanding a range of parameters. Yeah, that's a good idea. So range of parameters, I'm just going to go through these quickly. We say 80 on the cold side, 90 on the warm side. I try to go. I'm actually starting to go lower on the warm side, like 88. I'm experimenting with around 88, 89 on the warm side. I don't know if I'll keep doing that, but that's a fine range for warm. And their cold side sometimes dips down to 76. So it's between 76 and 80, and I think closer to 80 is better. But don't get real worried if your parameters are not, if you're not exactly at 80 and exactly at 90. It can go up a little bit and down a little bit. And also don't think that, if you hit 93, go ahead and turn it down. That's a little bit warm, but you're not going to burn your snake at 93, because keep in mind that our skin is 98.6. And I could hold Tiger Lily here for the entire day and she would never burn. Like, I'm not going to burn her, right? So those burns happen from heat mats that go way high up in the hundreds. So yeah, don't worry so much. I mean, do worry about the parameters. Make sure they're right, because your snake won't eat, and there's all kinds of things that could happen if they come, if they're way off. But a couple of degrees here and there is going to be okay. And then, you've got kind of a wide range for humidity. You hear a lot of people say 50%, and I think that's a little bit low. I keep mine probably between 65 and 80%, and up to 90 when they're in shed. and my snakes always have perfect sheds. So, the fact is that it's probably 50%. If you went to, let's say, Ghana or somewhere in West Africa, the humidity, I think, there is around 50%. But if you dug yourself down into a burrow, whether it was in a termite mound or not, because they live all over just underground in burrows, if you're underground, that humidity is going to be closer to 90, and that's where these guys sit. So that's a thing. And then how often bedding should be changed and how to disinfect. So bedding, I think, should be changed every 4 weeks or so. I had been doing every 6 weeks, and I felt like that wasn't quite enough. So I'm doing every 4 weeks now. But again, that's a thing that isn't hard and fast. It kind of depends on how good you are at spot cleaning. Spot cleaning is really important, that you make sure that, I make sure that if I see a urate, not only do I pick up the urate, but I pick up the cocoa husk that's around that, because that's going to be soaked in pee, right? And then I take an F10 cloth and I wipe around that, So spot cleaning is important. If you're a good spot cleaner, you can go a little bit longer between full changes, but figure somewhere around every 4 weeks. Enclosure size and type, pros and cons. Man, that's a big one. I don't know if I want to get into that, just because I have other videos on that. But I will say this, and I've said it before, there are thousands of ball pythons that are kept successfully in glass enclosures. There are thousands of ball pythons that are kept successfully in tubs. There are thousands of ball pythons that are kept successfully in PVC enclosures. It's a big debate, a big argument, and it shouldn't be. It's as long as you know how to do it. I would say the glass enclosures are a little bit harder to dial in your parameters, but they're way prettier. So if you can dial in your parameters right in a fish tank, use it. Snakes. A lot of snakes do really well in those. But you just have to know what you're doing. So, okay, let me catch up on these live things, and I'll get back to my clipboard. Thanks, you guys, by the way, for sending in these questions. They were really good. Gives us stuff to talk about. Okay, hang on. So this is like last time, you guys. I'm going to skim these. I might miss your question or your. I'm not reading it and then skipping over it on purpose. I'm just kind of skimming so that I can get through them all. Teresa, so Teresa says she's talking about how to get Kent okay with snakes. Kent will never be okay with snakes, I don't think, but we'll try. But you're really talking about your family members that think they'll eat the cats. It's just a matter of educating them, getting to know as much as you can about the species, which is something that I think every exotic pet owner should do anyway. Get to know as much as they can about the species, so that when your family members or friends or whatever has something to say, you've got some actual facts and knowledge to talk to them about, and not in an argumentative way, obviously, but just talking about snakes, and you've got this knowledge, and you know that a snake like this, even a full-grown snake like this, would not eat a cat. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Adam. Adam said it right. It's talk to them about snakes if they're interested, but don't push it on them, which I'm a real big proponent of. People that are especially afraid of snakes, you don't want to push it on them because it'll have the reverse effect. But oftentimes, people that are afraid of snakes are really curious about snakes, and so when they ask, I talk to them about it, and I've turned around a lot of people that were previously scared of snakes. Okay, let's see. Michael Brannon, my local pet store is selling a banana morph ball python for $500. What do you think of people overprice? I think you're saying overpricing snakes for profit and greed. Well, if somebody's really overpricing a snake, it won't sell. I think that it's tough because when you are involved in this hobby, it's a really expensive hobby. And if you can produce snakes and sell them to pay for your hobby, that's or to pay for your to feed your family. There's a lot of people that it's their primary source of income, and that's okay as long as they're doing it responsibly. I think that there's enough, especially Morph Market is such a great resource that, if a pet store is selling a snake, first of all, a pet store is probably going to be higher priced than, hi, cute girl, look at her, she's so cute. A pet store is probably going to be higher priced than anywhere on Morph Market anyway. I wouldn't say that they're overpricing. They're just pricing based on what their market will buy, And somebody buying from a pet store usually isn't doing a ton of research. And so, they can sell a banana for $500. So I always tell people to look, if they're considering buying a snake from somebody or from a pet store or whatever, just look on Morph Market and see what the going rate is for those particular genetics, but I don't have a problem with people selling. I mean, I've got some snakes that I'm selling that from a clutch, and I'll probably sell more next year. So let's see. Hang on, just. Missy looking to upgrade from a tub, needs some advice. Look at my. I have an upgrade video. You're looking to upgrade from a tub, though. It sounds like into some other enclosure. I'll say this, that I think a PVC enclosure, a glass front or plexiglass front PVC enclosure is the best thing for a ball python. That's probably the best. I don't have any ball pythons in one. I have a super dwarf reticulated python in one, but I only have one, and you don't have to fight the humidity and temperatures and stuff like that like you do in a full glass enclosure with a screen top. So that's what I would say to that. Yeah, Jessica's saying that she had hers in had hers in tanks, and now she's moved them to tubs because it's easier to keep the parameters. Yeah, I mean, I find that a lot of people, they'll get a snake and put it in a tank, and they'll get another one and put it in a tank, and maybe they'll get 3 or 4, and then by the time they're at 5, maybe 4 or 5, they start going, this is going to be way easier if we go to tubs. And a lot of times their snakes will start eating too if they're in tubs, if they're off food. Okay, I'm going to hang on. Let me just get to the bottom of this. Gollum's Demons is asking what I have for sale. I need some het clown females. I bet you can find some het clown females pretty easily on Morph Market. I only have one left, you guys, of the ones. We'll talk about that one that I have available still. My only male is still available, and he is a spot nose inchy extreme gene. He's really cool. I'll pull him out in a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so let me get back to this. I want to try to get through these questions pretty quick. So, I'm going to say X. I picked up my new ball python hatchling a month ago. It turned out to be quite defensive one. Even got bitten the very first time handling it at the pet shop. I tried to tame her through 2 30-minute handlings. She seems to want to run away from me during handling. I don't think she's timid because she never balled up and spends a lot of time out of the shelter. Could you please get some advice on how to handle this kind of ball python? Should I increase or decrease handling time? Okay, so that's a very similar question to what Callsign Mohas was asking too. He says, my wife and I have the same situation with our new ball python when it comes to his face getting too close. We also have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to taking him out of his enclosure due to always flinching. He's not one to hiss or strike, but having such a docile and zen animal become very agitated upon contact can sometimes be spooky. Yeah, it can. So, this is a thing. This is not a. It's not like, oh, I got a ball python that happens to be spooked. It's just that this is a snake, and snakes get spooked, and especially baby snakes. So this isn't something that just, with a month or two of handling, all of a sudden they won't get spooked anymore. I'm watching this adorable snake. Check out my hat right now. We were talking about snakes and new surfaces and doing this quick tongue flick in my last video, and that's what she's doing right now on my hat because she's never been on it. So she's doing these really quick, short tongue flicks to see if this surface is safe. Okay, so even my most docile, we'll take Damara for example. If you know Damara, she's just my pinstripe, but she is the probably the most used to being handled snake. Most of mine are used to being handled, but Damara especially is just completely chill. But if I reach in, and especially if I go for her head, she's going to flinch. That's just snake behavior. And usually, hatchlings like this are a little bit more unpredictable as far as if they're going to strike at some point. But once you've had them for a while, you'll know if they're a striker or not. This one is this chill. She's totally happy to be out and explore, but most of the time when I go to pick her up, she'll hiss at me. But that doesn't mean she's going to strike. It just means that I woke her up and she doesn't know she doesn't know it's me. Right? It could be anybody. It could be any predator. And so she's hissing like, hey, get away from me. I don't know who this is. And then when I pick her up and take her out, she recognizes the environment of my hand, And that's true with a lot of those hatchlings in there. Are super docile, but they'll be vocal about not wanting to be disturbed if they're asleep or something, So that's pretty common with hatchlings. How to deal with it is, the question was increase or decrease handling times. I think regular handling is good. If your snake acts stressed while you're handling it, then you want to keep it to about 15 minutes. If the snake seems stressed when you pick it up, like hissing or whatever, defensive a little bit when you pick them up, but then chills out when you're handling it, handle them for a little bit longer, and you can do it. You can do it each day as long as they're not in shed or as long as they haven't just eaten. Give them a little handling session, and then it's kind of up to you whether you do it for 15 minutes for a really agitated snake, or if you do it for a while, just to get them used to you. And then also do those things that I've talked about in some recent videos, which is just being near your snake in their enclosure, not messing with them, and opening the door or opening the tub and letting them smell your hand without you picking them up. Just, letting them get used to you. So that's that. I hope I answered that a little bit. Let's see. Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate that. It's a nice compliment. Yeah, Missy, you could do a glass enclosure if you wanted to. You just have to know how to cover the top and do the things that you need to do to make it work. But PVC enclosures are pretty great. Okay, let me get back to call sign Mohas. Holding him now. Oh, that's great. He is just chill, no stress. Using my wrist to scratch his face. That's great. Nice job. I'm glad you're holding him. Oh, and then as far as the other thing that call sign Mohas said, which is a good point, is having them do this thing where they're right up to your face, like this. Like she's tongue flicking on my nose. I wouldn't do this with a scrub python. I wouldn't do this with a Woma python, because when you're holding them, they could just bite you, and like at any moment. Ball pythons are less likely to do that. And again, this is knowing your individual snakes. Some might. I don't have any that have ever struck while I'm holding them. Little baby hatchlings might once or twice, but usually they won't. So with a ball python, this is pretty safe. And especially with a ball python that their personality, that they've never struck before and they don't have a tendency to strike. They don't think of you as a possible predator. The chances of them striking at your face are pretty slim. But I've seen pictures of people that get tagged in the face by their like reticulated python or something, and I don't mean like a massive 200-pound retic, but like a super dwarf or something like that. And it's 2 bite marks on their face, like right here, and little tiny blood marks. Not that big of a deal. If they got your eye, that'd be a problem. But especially if a ball python bit your face. Ball pythons don't have big teeth. They have little tiny sharp teeth. So you would see blood, but you would almost not feel it. So unless they were really big or something, then you would feel it, but it still wouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. I want to get through these that I have written down. All right, Tiger Lily, I'm going to put you down. I know you love my hat. Do you want to go back into your little tub here? All right. Okay, M2M Grub and Gamble. Have you talked about how often a ball python should and will shed and what factors determine this? I have, but I never know what videos. I think I have a whole video on shedding. But, oh, Dan, thanks so much for the super chat. That's really nice. Just wanted to drop a tip before I go. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. And thanks for that super chat. That's really nice. So for the sheds, yeah, snakes are individual and they'll shed when they're ready to shed. But normally a shed is because of growth. And if you have a growing snake, so a hatchling or subadult, you can figure around every 6 weeks, but that's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes they'll go much longer, sometimes they'll go shorter. Another reason that they'll shed is if they were sick, if they were recently sick or have parasites or something like that, they'll shed to get rid of that. So, but it's usually just because they're growing. So once they become adults, snakes grow their whole lives, but after about say 3 or 4 years, they'll slow way down in their growth, and so they won't shed as much, But and then you've got breeding females that have like a pre-lay shed and a pre-ovulation shed and stuff like that, but that's different. So if you're not feeding your snake enough and they're not growing, they're not gonna shed as often, Thomas, any tips on maintaining ambient temps at night during the winter? I have a CHE, but still have trouble getting it stable on cold winter nights. Yeah, I'm guessing you probably have a glass tank. That's a tough thing. I mean, it's just a matter of turning that up and making sure that there's belly heat too, because if the ambient temp drops, if the snake still has belly heat at 90-ish, you're going to be okay. But their ambient temp, in the wintertime, there's a season where the ambient temp drops anyway for ball pythons naturally. So if it's dropping to like 75, 76, that's not a big deal in the wintertime, Okay, let me see if I understand this. Andrew, new to owning a ball python, 3-year-old male. We fed him a week and a half ago. The past 2 days, he had his mouth all the way open on the side of my head, and yesterday bit my shirt. Neither were strikes. Bit your shirt, but it wasn't a strike. I don't know. If a snake, there's yawning, which is you're going to see the snake open its mouth. It looks like a yawn and then close it again. But if they're hanging their mouth open, that's a sign of a respiratory infection. And especially if you see saliva, if there's visible saliva in there, like what's the word? Like strings of saliva or bubbles in their mouth, that's a sign of a respiratory infection. So that might be what you're describing, but it's hard to tell by what you're describing. Benji, that's hilarious. Benji saw a pic on Morph Market of a snake being held for sale, and the person had blood from a bite coming out of their hand. That's so funny. This snake is for sale, and their hand's dripping with blood. I love it. Golems Demons, there's not a Discord yet. I've got to figure out Discord. There's a Patreon, though. And in fact, this is a good time to do a Patreon credit scroll. These are my Tier 2 Patreon supporters. It's a little... Wait, I got to get it. I'm looking at the screen backwards. So there's that one scrolled. I only have 2 tiers right now. Probably add more, but... it's a pretty easy thing, and this is one of the perks for the Tier 2 supporters is your name in the end credits, but I've never done end credits. I haven't yet, and I'm kind of liking the credit scroll. The credit scroll. There, we're done with credit scroll. That's it. I'm liking the live credit scroll. That's kind of fun. So thanks to the Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/greenroompythons. If you're interested in checking it out, you can see the perks and such. The other cool perk that the Tier 2 supporters get is a Kent exclusive video every month. They get a Kent does a video, and they get that. It's just him doing shenanigans. Okay, so let me get back to this. Danielle B. Would like to know if you have a solution for how to relieve anxiety about possibly having a snake bite you. Okay, so yeah, we talked about that. Let me see if there's... Recently bought my first ball python in July. He hasn't bit me, and he's been great every time. Actually, we didn't talk about this specifically. Every time his head gets close to me, I panic and get scared thinking he's going to bite me. And I see you allowing your snakes to get close to your face. That's the one that's about close to your face. Yeah, that's people get really nervous about that. Snakes close to their face. So here, I'm going to put Tiger Lily back really quick. Hold on one second. So you guys, I have Captain Feral here, and so Captain Feral, hi buddy, all right, well it didn't work. I thought he was going to bite me. Captain Feral is a biter. He has not bit me yet. But I shouldn't say he's a biter. He's a striker. He strikes the tub if he sees movement in front of his tub. And this is the little boy that, by the way, that I got from Aussie Boyd's a while back, several weeks ago. Probably been about 4 weeks. You know, he needs some socialization, which I've been giving him. But my point was, I was seeing if he would bite me, because I wanted to show you that a ball python bite really doesn't feel like anything. It's scary because in our mind that's a snake bite, and we think of that as a really horrific event, like, oh, a snake bit me. But if a cat bites you, it's going to cause a lot more damage, and it's going to hurt a lot more than if a snake bites you. If a hamster bites you, obviously a dog too, but like a hamster, a bird. Those bites are way worse than a ball python bite. If Captain Feral bit me right now, it would cause blood because their teeth are super sharp. but they're so tiny, and we're talking about babies. The teeth are so tiny that they don't even pierce through all the way through your skin. Like they go through the epidermis, and you'll bleed from that. But it doesn't feel like anything. Like you'll go, did you just bite me? And you'll look at your hand and you'll see blood, and that's how you know that you got bit, not because of pain. Really, I've been bit several times by ball pythons, and I've been bit once by a Woma python, and a Woma python has way bigger teeth than a ball python, and that I only felt that like there was only a little bit of pain in that one because one of its front teeth dug into my hand further than the other teeth. So I didn't feel any of the other teeth. I had a mark. I can't remember where on my hand it bit me, but I had an upper mouth mark and a lower mouth mark. So it got all of its teeth on me, and there was blood all over. Couldn't feel any of those except for the one tooth that dug in. Hurt. So, if you have a green tree python or an Amazon tree boa or something that has longer teeth, those bites are going to hurt a lot more. But for those of you with anxiety about ball python bites, the thing about them is that they are frightening because they happen so fast. This is the only time that a python moves quickly, right? Is when they strike. And so it's jarring, but it really doesn't hurt. So if you just sort of have this mindset that your brand new snake might bite you, and if it does, you're not going to freak out, you're not going to jump back or anything, just let it happen. It's going to be really quick and go bam, and that'll be it. And then you pick it up. Or if you've already picked it up and it bites you, you don't set it back down. In fact, somebody just did a video. Was it Justin Kabilka just did a video talking about this? And it's really good advice that you don't want that snake to learn that if you go in to pick it up, all it has to do is bite you, and then you'll leave. Because they'll learn that really quick. These snakes are not dumb animals, and they figure out real quick what works for them. And if biting works for them, they'll keep biting. So if a snake bites me, I'm going to let it bite me, and then I'm going to pick it up and handle it, so that it knows that didn't do anything, all right, so there's that. Let me... Andrew, you like the 10-year Lafroig too? Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lafroig. It's good stuff. Hold on. Do you feel like the amount of confidence you have going on to grab a snake has any effect on if they bite you or not? Yes, absolutely. If you go in and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that, snake's probably gonna bite you. But if you just go in and go boom and pick it up by the mid body, with a hatchling I can do this, one hand, a couple of fingers. With a bigger snake I would go two hands, but mid body, you're not going face first. You're not scaring them. I really think that snakes animals in general can read energy a lot better than humans can read energy, because we read what other people are thinking by speaking words and communicating that way. And I think that there's an energy that when you go in with confidence, this happens with a dog. When you go up to a dog with confidence, you can manage that dog, right? But if you walk up to a dog fearful, there's a good chance that if that dog's a biter, you're going to get bit, And it's the same with a snake. Okay. Yeah, Nerd has done some great behavior videos with Clint. There's a whole series with Nerd. I think anything that Kevin does behavior wise, Kevin is a really smart guy and knows reptiles really well. I think that because he's like a heavy metal dude and wears, sleeveless shirts and stuff, that might turn certain people off and they go, I'm not going to watch this guy. But he is like the smartest reptile guy that you could watch. You can learn a lot from him. And then he does those videos that go way over our heads that are like veterinary videos. He's, showing how he's operating on a snake, which I would never try. But I love Kevin's stuff. I usually fast forward through all the like sensational craziness and just get to the information. It's good stuff. Okay, so we're getting through this, you guys. We got that one. Have you covered how... Okay, from Poncho 400, have you covered how often to feed and how to tell if the snake is under or overweight? Yes. I have. There's some feeding videos. But real quick, I feed my snakes that are juveniles or... and we're talking ball pythons, not reticulated pythons, not other kinds of snakes, but ball pythons. I feed my growing ones once a week. I feed breeding females once a week in breeding season. But as they get bigger, and especially males, I'll cut it to once every 2 weeks. And if they get a big meal, it might even go longer than that I wait. Snakes can go a really long time without eating, you guys. And in the wild, there's probably never been a ball python in the wild who ate every week. It just doesn't happen. They just don't find food every week. And so their bodies are designed to, putting Captain Farrell back so he's comfortable. Their bodies aren't designed to constantly be eating all the time. So there's somebody else, I think it might be in one of these questions that I wrote down, that was talking about how they fed their snake and then it looked like the snake wanted to eat 3 days later. They do, and they will. But it's not because they're hungry and they need food. It's because they're opportunistic feeders and they don't know when their next meal is coming. So they'll start they'll digest a bit. It takes a snake about 10 days to fully digest a meal, but after like 3 days, they can move around and start looking for more food. It's not good for them to. I mean, they'll in the wild, their likelihood of finding food 3 days later is pretty low. I mean, it takes them a long time and it takes a lot of tries for them to actually get food, but they'll start hunting again. So if you just give them food every time they start hunting again, they're going to be massively obese. And we keep a lot of snakes obese in this hobby. So, as the snakes get older, cut the feeding back, and also don't feed them massive amounts. My breeding females in breeding season get medium rats, and in fact, like Damara, she'll get a couple medium rats back to back because we're trying to pack on the weight because she's going to go off food for several months during breeding season. But a big snake like that in the off season can be on small rats. It's feeding night to night, and she'll get a small rat. So. And then we'll ramp her up to mediums and more frequent feedings as we get into breeding season. All of mine, this is breeding season for most people, and all of mine laid late this year or didn't go at all. So their season doesn't start until February. So that's why I'm still in the off season with mine. Let's see. Okay, so let me. I want to try to finish up. Snake is over or underweight. Yeah. I almost want to show you. So there are charts, but there's a body type. There's ball python body type charts that you can look at, but you kind of want to see the spine and then a triangle going down almost. And you also don't want that fatness on the tail. I want to show you. Let me put Captain Farrell back and clean my hands off really quick. And then I want to show you Kata because she's overweight. It's a good example. Let me just Purell my hands really quick. And then we'll grab Kata because She's super healthy right now, you guys. But Kata is an overweight snake. She came to me overweight, and she's a breeding female. So she had just laid a clutch, I think in August, and got her weight back up, and she's in like breeding season weight right now. So we got to figure out how to manage that. But she's not getting massive medium rats right now, for one thing. All right, give me a minute, and I'll grab her, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so the Harpers had some fun questions. Tips or suggestions on photographing snakes. I'm not a good photographer, but what I do is I take a video. I have a really good video situation on my phone, and I take a video and then take a screen still off of that, or I use a Canon camera to take a video, and I grab a screen still, so that most of the photos that I have of snakes are tongue out photos, because I'm just finding fun screen stills. But I'm not a good photographer, so I don't know. I mean, lighting, you gotta have good lighting, but I don't ever know how to do it, so I just experiment with it. So Harper's, more questions. Have you found snakes responding to music at all? No, they don't respond to music, but this is a good thing. This is kind of an adjacent thing that's important to talk about. Snakes, first of all, most of the instruments that I play, well, I should say half. This one and this one, I'm looking at myself backwards, they probably can't hear, because those are high treble instruments, the mandolin and ukulele. And snakes can hear low registers. So they can hear a drum, they can hear the bass of the banjo and the bass of the guitar probably, but they're not. I've never seen them respond to music. But the point that I wanted to make is, I never set my phone, like if I'm playing a video, if I'm watching a video or something on my phone, I never set it on a snake rack or on top of a snake enclosure, because the vibrations of that sound are going to bother the snake. I've heard of people having like speakers on, like they'll have a big snake enclosure and then they'll put speakers on top of it, and the snake stops eating and goes downhill, and it's because of the constant vibration of that. So okay, another thing from the Harpers. These last two are fun. Do you do anything creative or crafty with snake shed? No, but one of my close friends, Cherie, takes some of the sheds and makes jewelry out of them. She'll put I don't know what it's called. I can't think of the word now. But like a what's it called? That plasticky stuff that you put over, like you put it over a snake skin, and then you've got this little pendant that's a snake skin thing. It's pretty cool, especially when you can do it with a head. You can have the eyes in it and stuff. It's pretty cool. What is that skull-like thing that we can see a reflection of in your guitar? It's not a reflection. It's actually... Where's my guitar on this side? So weird to see myself backwards. This is just a skull sticker that I did because I bought this guitar, and when I bought that guitar, I was in like a pirate-themed Irish band. It was this crazy band that I mainly played mandolin in, and I thought, oh, I'll probably play guitar also in this band, and I never did. But I like the skull. Technically, if you put stickers on your instruments, it's going to deaden the sound a little bit, but I didn't mind it for the cool look of that skull. And it's a skull made of flowers, by the way. Can you see that? It's all flowers. It's pretty cool. Anyway. Oh, that hot librarian. Thanks so much for the contributing to the Scotch fund. That's so nice. I appreciate that. A little super chat from that hot librarian. Okay, let me... So that's it for the Harper's questions. There's a couple more on my thing, but I want to go through here and see if... Lisa Gordon, I don't have any boas. I love boas, and I especially love Amazon basin tree boas. That's one of my bucket list snakes. But I don't have any right now, just pythons. I figure it's green room pythons, and I have so many bucket list pythons that it's going to be a while before I can get into boas. But man, I love like a good IMG black, jet ink black, thick, square-bodied boa. They're so cool. Man, that Lafroig is good, you guys. If you like Scott, if you like the flavor of leather thrown into a campfire mixed with garden soil, that's your drink. It's delicious. So is every 1.5 weeks okay? Music and more? Yeah, probably. I mean, it depends on the size of your snake, but sure. I mean, really, even a baby snake, maybe not a hatchling, you don't want to do that with, but even a baby snake, they're just not going to grow as fast. But you could go every week and a half, something like that. Zach, I've got some videos on switching snakes to rats, mice to rats. You can scent them. There's a number of tricks. One of the things that's worked best for me on snakes that don't just switch right away. My first thing is, for a lot of people, because they'll ask me how to do it, but they've never tried it, just try it, because I shouldn't say most, but maybe about 50% will just take a rat. Like, it's not a problem. But if they don't take it, there are things that you can do to scent. You can scent the enclosure, blow thaw out a mouse, blow that scent with a hairdryer into their enclosure, but then offer them a rat. Make sure that the rat has been rubbed on the mouse really good, or in mouse bedding, maybe sat in mouse bedding for a while, stuff like that. There's all kinds of little tricks like that. Okay, before I forget, let me grab Kata and go back to the weight thing. Let's look at an overweight snake really quick. I can get to her. Oh, look at you, pink girl. You're in shed. I love when a white snake goes in shed because they just turn pink. I don't know if that shows up very well, but her pink belly probably does. But she is pink all over. So Kata here, she is... she's not obese. She's not terribly overweight. She's a standard breeding female. But it's a good example of overweight. So first of all, the way she's holding her tail, you can't see it, but if that tail above the vent goes fat like that, and I'm kind of doing this with my hand just to show you, but her vent is, her cloaca is on the other side, obviously, but right about here, and then she's fatter on the other end. It should be a gradual taper, and then, hi baby, and actually, you know what? She's not looking too bad. She's not looking super overweight at this point, but rolls like that, if there's a lot of rolls, you're not as overweight as I thought you were. Hi, Mama. Let's see how she does. I'll just let her chill for a minute. Midnight Mandy, thanks for the super chat because you like my style. That's so sweet. That's really nice. Oh, Lori. Yes, of course you can see your little girl. What a nice super chat. Oh my gosh. That's such a big super chat, Lori. It doesn't cost $50 for me to show you your girl. All right, but that's really sweet. I appreciate that, you guys. All right, let me hold on one second. I want to put her back. So, rolls, I mean, again, she's not awful overweight, but also I would like her to taper a little bit more, maybe. If she wasn't a breeding female, she's fine as a breeding female, but she would maybe taper a little bit more. I kind of thought, for some reason, she's fatter in my mind than she is in real life. So you're not too bad, babes. All right, let's put you back. And then let's get Lori's little girl. So, for those of you, hang on. Okay, I'm gonna put Kata back really quick. And let me Purell my hands and such. And we'll do that really quick. All right, so for those of you who haven't been following along, I have all but one snakes that were available from the Freya and Ron pairing have sold. And I have one left that's available. So I'm going to show you Lori's little girl that she got. This is Lori got the most. I mean, they're all really social and cool snakes, but Lori got the most social one, if we can call a snake social. In that, number 2 is always wanting to come out. In other words, if she's at the front of the tub and I open the tub, I don't think she's ever backed up and gone the other way like most snakes do. She always comes forward and is like, "What's going on?" and comes right out onto my hand. So she's a really cool snake and lovely also. All right, so let me grab her. Okay. Here is Marie, right? That's what you're naming her? Marie Curry? So she was in her hide. So I actually pulled her out this time. But no hissing or anything. Just totally happy to wake up in my hands for a minute. Look at that head stamp. Look at that. That's not quite a guitar. It's more of a mandolin head stamp. But she is a spot nose calico orange dream. Lovely little girl. And has taken every meal that I've offered her. So she's great. So while I'm holding this little one, let me just see if I can finish these. Here's a question from Lori. So I'm going to hold your snake and answer your question. I've heard multiple times that ball pythons can't hear. Oh, so we were talking about that a little bit. We'll go into it a little more. Darwin seems to hear me. Is that due to something else like sense of smell or vibrations, or can he hear? Yes, he can hear. But like I said, low tones. They have a I don't know what you call it, but it's an organ basically in the back, or maybe it's like a bone type thing, but it's a hearing organ in the back of their head instead of ears. So what they say is that if you put your hands over your ears and listen that way, that approximates probably what a snake hears, but without the high frequencies. They're hearing the lower frequencies. So if a snake is responding to noise that you're making, it's either you're making the noise, you're speaking or whatever in a low enough tone that they can hear that and might be responding to it. Or it could be vibrations. They really can pick up on vibrations well. So it could be that also. And then there was one that came in today from Adam. Adam, I don't know if you're still on. Let me look at this really quick. It's on my phone. So Adam's in the UK. Are you still on, Adam? Oh, you are. Okay. Great. I see you got a comment there. So I'm in the UK. So, Adam, it's got to be, 2 o'clock in the morning or something where you're at? I had both my snakes on rats, but noticed they were wanting feeding every 3 days. Oh, you're the one that I was just talking about, that 3-day thing. I wanted to switch to a larger rat. I went to my local pet store, and the, quote, reptile expert wanted to know why I only wanted rats. He said he had his ball python for 22 years, and it was fine to feed on mice. What's your opinion? Long story short, I fed my snakes an extra large and a large mouse, and they hammered them no problem. I'm just happy that they're eating. Yeah. Yeah, so I've talked about this before, but mice are fine to feed to ball pythons. Rats are better. So if you have a snake that only eats mice, that's okay. They're going to do fine. You can feed them that for 22 years or 30 years or however long they live. You're going to spend more money on mice than you would on rats, just because to feed them a proper size once they get older, you're going to have to feed them multiples, and that's costs more than finding one appropriately sized rat. So I always prefer to get my snakes on rats because it's nutritionally a little bit better for them. But if you go onto these Facebook groups and you hear people talking about how mice are just junk food, you have to get them on rats. It's not true. They're not junk food. It's fine for a ball python. They can live just fine on them. And I always use Lucille as an example. Maybe I'll get Lucille out in a little bit, but she's my breeding female pied who didn't go this year, but she definitely is big enough. 1,700 gram pied, who up until recently was a mouser. She got up to 1,700 grams just on mice because I fed her enough. But she ate mice. And I just recently got her to take her first rat, and she ate 2 rats since then. But last week she wouldn't take a rat, so she got 2 mice. So it's gonna go back and forth. Marie Curry is checking out the hat, as they all do. Snakes love these brimmed hats. Okay, so let me hold on. Oh, did I answer that? Yeah, okay, so the other thing is this reptile expert that you put in quotes. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before too, that generally people at the pet store are not going to be experts in ball pythons. Now, this guy has had a ball python for 22 years. There's a good chance, though, that he didn't keep up necessarily with information. Maybe he got information 22 years ago and it worked for his snake and never got more information. So you were in a rare situation where the pet store guy... What's going on here? Oh, you're just digging in. She really wants to stay on the hat. I'll let her. Where the pet store guy has ball python experience, at least. Usually they don't. They know nothing about snakes or whatever. So you were right to put that in quotes. The reptile expert. All right, let me see. Okay, I tell you what. Let me get, since I have Marie here, let me show you the one that is still available real quick, because he is awesome. So this little boy, this is the only boy in the clutch. And he is a spot nose inchy extreme gene. And look at his, so he's got more of a guitar shaped head stamp, but it also kind of looks like a guy with a mustache. Like a guy maybe wearing a mask over his eyes with a mustache. So he's a cute little boy. He's also pretty social in that he doesn't ever hiss or complain if I pull him out, but he's not one to come out on his own necessarily. But he refused, I think, his first 3 meals, and then he started eating on his own, and now he eats really well. He's a good little eater. There were some people that thought he was asphalt also, and I don't think he is. He's got some blushing on the sides, but I don't think he's asphalt. So I don't want to call him asphalt. Why are you grabbing your sister? Can you let go of her neck? Hang on. Okay, we're letting go. There we go. All right. Unlocked. So this little boy, Extreme Gene is cool because one of the things that it does is it gives, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. I don't think it will because it's so subtle. But it's kind of a brightening gene as well as some pattern stuff. And the ones with Extreme Gene have some like almost green on their back. And green is not a color that ball pythons have really. And maybe, that's probably not going to last their whole life. But right now, there's a greenish tone to this brown, and I think it's the Extreme Gene that's doing that. But this is a cool snake for any this is going to be a great either pet because it's not very expensive. This one is $350, so this would be a great pet and or anybody who's like working with clown that wants spot nose and clown, but also wants Extreme Gene just because it's not a newer gene, but it's one that not many people work with. I'm sure there is Extreme Gene clowns, but I've never seen them. So that would be a cool thing too. But he's got a ton of striping down his dorsal also. So like, instead of that broken pattern, that this one, if you see the comparison, let me see, there we go. Just cool dorsal striping and such. So, I need my hands. Hey, snakers, I need my hands. All right. I'm putting Marie back. Everybody say goodbye to Marie. Say congratulations to Lori. She got a really cool snake. This is one, I think I said this, I may have said this in a video, I can't remember, but I have a friend who was going to buy this snake from me so that I would keep it, and I told her she couldn't do that because I had a waiting list. But she's a very likable snake and not very willing to go back into her tub. So give me a minute. I'm going to put them back. Okay, hi you guys. Let me, I think I'm done with the questions. Yeah, so that took me an hour to get through the questions that were asked on previously on Patreon and YouTube, and now we're just chatting. Thanks for all the hat compliments, you guys. I like fancy hats, as many of you know. Okay, hang on. I'm just going to catch up a little bit. I'm going to skip through and see if I can see anything that... Oh, Mary, I wish I could ship to the UK. It's customs and all that kind of stuff. It would cost so much money to get a ship snaked. To get a ship snaked to the UK. That's what I meant to say. We would have to find somebody who was shipping a whole bunch of reptiles, like Dan over at DM Exotics. I'd have to pay him to throw that snake in a box that was going to the UK or something. Anyway, it's not doable, unfortunately. I would love to send you guys a snake though. Brian, watch I have a couple of feeding videos on ball python at 1,210 grams. If they haven't eaten or only ate once since you bought them, I don't know how long ago you bought them, so it might, if it's only a month, then it's not that big of a deal. If it's 6 months, then you want to start figuring something out. But it's probably something to do with husbandry. It has to do with something with them either not feeling secure enough, or their temperatures or humidity is not right. So look at the videos. I think 2 videos they might have been back to back, that are on feeding, why my ball python won't eat, and what to do to get them to start eating, or something like that. That'll help. What do you recommend for humidity? Live in Colorado and it's dry here. Cocoa husk substrate, maybe mixed with forest floor. And I say that maybe just because I haven't personally done it, but I know a lot of people do that, and it helps with humidity. And make sure that if you're in a glass tank, like a glass enclosure, that you are covering the top. You don't want that screen top. That's where all the humidity escapes from. Do you have a morph breakdown video? I mean, not really. I've talked about morphs, and I have some genetics videos where I talk about morphs. But there are so many morphs in ball pythons, like hundreds. In fact, I just read an article the other day talking about how scientists are using ball pythons as a model for now the words escape me, but a model for figuring out how phenotype genetics work. Genetics that affect the look of different animals. They're using ball pythons to figure that out because there's so many morphs. And I'm not an expert in every morph, and I'm certain, I'm not a morph expert at all, really. I know enough about genetics to be dangerous, but as far as identifying morphs and things like that, I'm not that great at that. But I love them. I think they're really cool. So I'm just seeing Brian. I think Brian Patterson, you're probably talking to somebody else, but you're saying I was told it was eating a medium live rat. I tried it and didn't take it. I tried a frozen thawed and nothing. Ate an ASF once. Okay. So if they're on live, they're probably going to be unlikely to take a frozen thawed yet. So you want to keep trying to offer live. But this is something that's come up a lot. I've seen this a lot on like Facebook questions and things where people will go, oh, I'm feeding, I got my snake and I'm feeding it a medium rat. So medium rats are huge. They're big. That's what a breeder female, a big breeder female would eat a medium rat. Generally, unless the male is huge, they're not going to eat a medium. But a lot of people call a medium rat, they just go, well, a big rat's about like this, and so a medium's about like this. And that's not how it is as far as the suppliers of rats. There's an actual size for a medium rat, and that's a big rat. So a lot of people, if you buy a snake from somebody, they'll go, oh yeah, I was feeding them like a medium rat. When they mean it's like this, so that might be a small rat, or it could be a weaned rat, like who knows? Not a medium, which is, like that. So I always wonder, when people say I'm trying to feed my snake a medium rat, I'm wondering if it's an actual medium, because that's a big rat. Mary, you could try to come for a visit and take the snake home, but I don't know if you'd get on an airplane, because I don't think snakes on a plane are actually allowed, probably because of the movie. But I'd love for you to. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so more people saying their snake isn't eating. Can you help? Yeah. So watch those videos. There's that one video that I did on why is my ball python not eating, that covers a lot of the tips, reasons why they're not eating and tips that you can do to get them to eat. But the key is, if it's a relatively new snake for you, they don't feel secure enough yet, and or the heat humidity parameters are off. A lot of people go, oh, I've got all kinds of hides for my snake, and they think that they're saying that, but then they show a picture of their enclosure and there's not one hide in there. They're saying that they have a lot of hides because they have plants and the snake can hide behind it, but that's not a hide. Or they have one of those like either cork bark or just regular bark. It's just a tunnel, like with a big opening on the front and a big opening on the back. And that's not a hide either, because the snake can see completely out the front and back, and it knows that it can be seen completely out the front and back also. So you want to hide, you want this. You want something like, this is, you don't have to have this exact hide box, but in this case, the snake goes, I'm looking at myself backwards again. The snake goes in to this hole, and then it goes in here, and it can hide, and it can feel its, all four sides, or I guess 2 or 3 sides would be on its body. It can scrunch up against that, and it's hidden at that point because it only has this one little entrance right here. So, hide box. You want 2 of those. Call sign Moas, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. You guys are so nice with your super chats. That's really helpful. This, this channel takes a lot to do to try to produce a video each week, whether it's a produced video or one that, like this, that's a live stream. It's a lot of stuff. So the Patreon supporters and people that do super chats when I do the lives, it's really helpful. And I have plans for this. So as soon as I can move some significant finances to the making of these videos, we're gonna do some cool stuff. So thanks again, Patreon supporters and super chatters. It's really nice. Benji asking if you should just get a normal ball python for your first. Sure. Normals are fantastic, and you could adopt a normal for your first. I think, if look around, I don't know where you live, but look around and see if there's any reptile rescues or shelters that have snakes. There's a good chance if they have a ball python, it's probably a normal. And it's great to rescue snakes, you guys. If you can do that, do that. But I'll say this also. It's great to rescue a snake, but now I'm remembering you're saying first snake. You might want to go with a hatchling that's well established from a good breeder, even if it is a normal, or maybe it's just a head or something like that. Just because you'll know the history of the snake. Sometimes with a rescue, you don't know the history, and you could have problems that you kind of have to figure out, and that's not always easy. So there's your 2 sides of the coin for that question. Yeah, Lori. So weaned rats do seem a lot bigger than rat pups for sure. But when a rat pup is no longer leaving a lump in the snake's belly, they can definitely get quite a bit bigger, because they can take a meal that leaves a big lump in their belly. So if the pup isn't leaving really a lump at all, then you could almost double the size of a rat pup, and the snake would be fine eating that. There are also, remember you guys, in the wild, snakes are not finding the exact size prey. They're either finding something that's too small, or they're finding something that's too big, and they can handle too big. It's and by too big, what I mean is what we would consider too big. Like, whoa, that's going to leave a huge lump in their belly. They can do that. They're a snake, and their jaws are hinged, and their neck and their jaws are really stretchy. They can handle that. It's just that it puts more stress on their internal system than we want to put. In captivity, we don't need to put that much stress on their internal system, so we keep the size manageable. But they can handle bigger prey for sure. Lisa asking me what my thoughts are on spider. I love spider. I think spiders are beautiful. I wouldn't breed spiders just because I don't want to deal with, I want to lessen any neurological disorder or anything like that I have to deal with in my snakes. So I'm careful about not breeding anything that has a known neurological thing. But I love spiders. Spiders are supposedly some of the best eaters for some reason. They eat all the time. People love them. They're great. I personally would not breed them. I don't judge people that do breed them, though. It's just that it's not something that I want to necessarily breed. But I think they're awesome and they look so cool. Mary, thanks for the super chat. Mary sent me $10 you guys. The little L with the thing, the little lira L thing. She sent me 10 of those. I appreciate that, Mary. It's so nice. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll through these really quick. Forrest, you got a normal for free with 2 enclosures. Yeah, you can get normals for free, you guys. But, if it's $25 or $50 or something, you got a snake that you're going to have for 30 years, hopefully, right? 25, 30 years, something like that. So don't be afraid to pay for what you want to pay for to get the right one. Does too big, small extend to different breeds? Example, hognose. Yeah. We're talking. I'm sorry. I was going to go with enclosure, but I think Mary, you're talking about prey size. Yes. I'm saying yes, but I don't know for sure on every single breed of snake because I'm not an expert on all breeds of snakes. But I know that in general, snakes can take a big. Here's an example of some that it's not arboreal snakes. It would not apply to arboreal snakes. You can, if you've got a green tree python and you feed them too big of a prey, they're prone to prolapse, and that could be a big problem. So it doesn't extend to all different breeds. I had to think through that before I came to the right answer. Hognose, I'm not sure. I've never had a hognose. I love hognose snakes, you guys. I think they're awesome. I've never had one. My guess is that they could probably take a pretty good sized meal. But I don't know them very well. I just know they're adorable, cool little snakes. Okay, I'm just skimming through this. Oh, Dr. Gone Rogue, you're working on genetic testing of snakes. So if you have sheds, send them my way. Will you send me an email, greenroompythons@gmail.com, and I want to hear what you're doing. I love that. I'll send you some sheds for sure. That's really cool. Call San Mohos. Mites, haven't had them yet, but just in case, what's a good way to prevent and get rid of them? I've heard of Nix, but curious. Yeah, Nix, I think, is one that's... I might be wrong here, but I think that's one that might be dangerous to snakes. I'm not sure. I don't... Look that up, because I don't know. I would say, prevent a mite. I haven't dealt with mites. Knock on wood. But there's a number of ways. The thing about mites is that the great thing is there's a million ways to get rid of mites, and you can ask forums, and you'll get a whole bunch of different answers, from Dawn dish soap to Prevenamite and Nix and all kinds of things. So there's a bunch of different ways to get rid of them. But if you don't catch them early, they're going to spread to your whole collection, and it's going to be super annoying. So look for those mites early. I'm constantly looking for mites, especially on new snakes, and I'm also really careful about who I buy snakes from. I don't just buy them from random pet stores or random people. So I think that lessens my likelihood of having mites in my snakes. Okay. So, let's see. Let me look and see what I forgot here. Did we do it? I think we did it, you guys. Real quick, let me check this. I hate it when I get off this thing and realize that I've forgotten something, or like I haven't, like last time I didn't refresh my Patreon page. In fact, I should look at that. There were all kinds of questions on Patreon because I had asked them to send me questions. There was all kinds that came in at the last minute, and I hadn't. Oh, I want to tell you about. I know what I'm forgetting. So, for those of you following along, Damara had a clutch of all slugs and one potentially viable egg that I saw like little veins in that I incubated. That egg never went bad. It never smelled bad. But I cut it the other day because we were on day like 56 or something, and it looked awful. It just didn't smell bad yet. So I let it keep going. It wasn't fertile. But inside, it was so weird. Inside, it was like a hard-boiled egg. I mean, I cut it open and saw this thing in there. I had gloves on, fortunately, because it was super gross. And you could just break it in half, and it just was like a hard-boiled egg. And I don't understand. It was, regular temps in there. It wasn't like it got super hot in my incubator. But that's what it did, and it just wasn't fertile ever. So no snake. And I kind of didn't think that there would be anything that would come of that. But I'm not experienced enough with snake eggs to be able to look at it and go, yeah, that's no good. Get rid of it. So I incubated it for the entire time, but that will not be a snake, unfortunately. Oh, Benji, yeah. A good video would be questions to ask a breeder, either online or at an expo. Yeah, that's true. By the way, you guys have great ideas for videos, and I'm starting to get my video ideas from questions from you guys, so thanks for being so creative. Because sometimes, like it's hard to come up with a idea for a video every week sometimes, New Force Morphs, thanks so much. New Force Morphs, I've seen your videos too. You've got some good videos as well. You guys check out New Force Morphs on YouTube. He's got some cool stuff. I came across, I'm trying to think of what it was that I feel like I sort of recently watched, maybe. It was something that I was looking up. If I think of it, I'll tell you. There's something that I was looking up, and I came across your video. And I can't remember what it was. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll tell you. Was it? Did you do New Force Morphs? Did you do a video on maybe het clown markers or something like that? I feel like it was. I feel like you did something on het clown markers. You got a 16-year-old Lagavulin calling you from the kitchen. I would have had Lagavulin here if people had voted for Lucille. That was one of the choices, Lucille and Lagavulin. I've got a unopened bottle. I actually didn't. I was kind of hoping that wouldn't, because I didn't want to open that bottle of Lagavulin, but I would have if Lucille and Lagavulin was voted on. I would have opened that for tonight. Let's grab Lucille, by the way. Let's see how Lucille's doing. Hi there, babes. here's this young lady who was a mouser and kind of still is, but she's taken a couple rats recently. You can have a snake that's of breeding weight. She was bigger at the start of breeding season. What are you, upside down? She's a little thinner now. I wouldn't breed her right now. Well, she's probably over 1,500 pounds, but she would need more body condition on her to breed. She would need to be fatter. She's not very fat right now. But here, look at her little sarcastic looking smiley face emoji. There we go. Lucille is such a sweet little snake and never complains. You know, I have a lot of snakes that when you go in to pick them up, they'll complain. And what I mean by that is they'll sort of grab at things. Echo, for example, she's totally happy to come out and cruise around. She loves to climb on her ladder. But if I go to pull her off her ladder or off of her perch, she's like a little kid. She'll sort of grab on and go, no, thank you. I don't want to go. But then when I get her off whatever she's on, she's fine. This one never complains. She just kind of goes with whatever you want to do. She's just a sweet little girl. Okay, back to reading your comments. Oh, thanks, you guys. Yeah, Anna, when I named her Lucille, it was more after Lucille Ball because I wanted to name her after a comedian, just because of this smiley face emoji. But I did think of B.B. King's guitar. I saw B.B. King in concert like in the mid '90s. It was fantastic. His guitar's name is Lucille. Oh, Adam, you named your banana female after her. You named your banana female Lucille. That's fantastic. That makes me feel good that you named your snake after mine. Let's see. Yeah, New Forest Morphs enrichment ladders for. I wouldn't say enrichment ladders for ball pythons. I would be real nervous. Even though I know that, like, Lucille would climb that ladder, I'd be right under her spotting because I'd be nervous that they would fall. But for an arboreal or semi-arboreal snake, man, that my little super dwarf Echo spends hours. She climbs up on that ladder and she'll sit at the top. She likes to sit at the top of the. She has a couple of ledges that I've put up there. And she'll sit at the top one, and then she'll come down to the hammock below and hang out there on the hammock. Then she'll go. She just kind of moves levels, and she'll be on it for hours. It's really cool. But when she's on it, I've got to keep an eye on her because she could come down onto the ground or move somewhere else. You know, I've set it in a place where she can't reach anything else. But if she got away from me, she's pretty tiny. I'd never find her again. Whereas this one can roam the house, and I'll always find her somewhere. Like, that's not a problem. I usually keep an eye on her anyway, but she likes to roam, and so I let her do that. She and Damara and Freya were out for probably 3 hours this morning because I was cleaning their enclosures along with all the others, and these three just went under the couch, hung out under the couch for like 3 hours until I had to put them away because I had to leave. Okay, come in. I think Lucy's here, you guys. Hi there, she is here. You guys, Lucy's here. Those of you who were on my last live stream, remember Lucy, who is a student of mine, and she takes care of my snakes when I'm out of town. Hi.
Hi.
You want a snake?
Yes, I do.
You want to say hi to the live stream folks?
Lucille. Hi. I'm back again.
She's back again. I'm going to give her a lesson. So we'll probably end this here shortly, but let me look at a couple of questions here real quick. Yeah, New Force Morphs. That playpen works really well especially for subadult snakes. I'll put all my female subadults in there. Maybe not all. I mean, I'll put like 4 or 5 in at a time, and with a whole bunch of stuff and whiskey sleeves. The cardboard sleeves, and they go in there for hides, and it's cool. It works well. Yeah, Anna, that's right. They're heavy and they'll break ribs if they fall. So a ball python going up a ladder, that would scare me because they would break some ribs. And then you'd have a hard time getting them to eat for a long time. Dr. Gone Rogue. I teach Lucy. Lucy's a very talented musician, and I teach her ukulele. And you also take guitar.
Yes, I take guitar. I know. You've taught me some mandolin occasionally.
Yeah, you can play some mandolin chords.
I did banjo at some point.
You've played around with the banjo. She's a great singer. I'm not a singer, so I don't teach her singing. She sings way better than me.
No.
And she's an actor too. She's a very talented young lady.
I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we're going to end this very shortly, really quick. Benji Smith. Bob, one of my daughters wants a ukulele. Any suggestions? Yeah. Ohana ukulele is a really great dealer, and send me a message if you are wanting to get one. I can get Ohanas for wholesale, so you can get a good deal on Ohanas if you talk to me. I don't know where you're at if you're in the U.S. I'm assuming you're in the U.S., but yeah, they have good ukuleles. Okay, Dr. Gone Rogue, greenroompythons@gmail.com. Can I put it? I don't know how to do it here. I can't put it up here, but I'll figure it out. But it's just greenroompythons@gmail.com is my email. Okay. All right, this is it. I gotta give her a ukulele lesson, and then we're feeding snakes, right?
Oh, awesome!
So the deal is, I've taught Lucy for 3 years, so I've become friends with her mom and such, and so she is different than all my other students in that we figure out a time for her to come over. It's usually on snake feeding day. When I'm done teaching, she comes over and I give her a lesson, and then she helps me feed snakes, which is cool.
And sometimes we watch zombie movies.
That's right. That's true. All right, you guys. Anyway, thanks so much again. Thanks again for the super chats, you guys. Thanks for being here. Really cool to chat with you. I love the support when I do these lives. It's really nice to see everybody on here. So I don't know when the next one will be, but soon-ish. All right. I'm going to do this awkward thing again where I try to... Okay, I'm going to hit end broadcast.
If you do it on there, you got to hit it on YouTube and then hit on there.
But let's see what happens if I hit it on the program itself.
Okay.
All right. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining me.